should be live. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Fabi. You decided to wake me up. Thank you for that. Um,
Are you sure we're live? We're live. Wow.
I
Yeah,
did
I
not.
decided to wake. Well, I didn't wake you up personally.
You did not wake me up personally. That would be unnecessary, and I would be unforgiving if you would do that personally. If you know what I mean. Yo. All right, we have some chatters
One
already.
person watching.
The
Oh, there's
friendly
some more people
neighborhood
watching.
is watching. Hello, Pratesh, Pratik. We're just gonna wait a little bit for a couple of people of to show up. How would you like your POV, Fabi? Would you like it from GUKESH or from Ding's side?
From White side. I mean,
You
it's
like it from White side. Excellent, excellent.
it's just the standard, right? Otherwise, we'll be accused of taking sides. We're not taking sides.
Are we not taking sides?
No, we're not taking sides.
Okay.
We're neutral.
I kind of want to take sides. I don't know. I mean, actually,
You, side you want to take?
you know,
You're taking Dig's side, right?
I would probably take Ding. I don't know why, but I would probably take Ding. Yes, I would probably take Ding. But I'm not going to. Look, I would take Ding just because I think he's the big underdog. Everybody thought he's the big underdog going into this one.
At
I
this
still
point,
think he's somewhat of an underdog right now, but not by much.
I mean, I don't know. This just looks like kind of 50-50 affair to me. I mean, how can anyone be an un? It's the end of the match. They haven't shown any superiority overall, neither side. I mean, as the score shows. So how can there be a favorite at this point? At the start, sure, we were saying, okay, Ding is playing badly and Gukesh is playing well, and
I'm not trying to be
therefore,
logic around here. I'm not trying to be logical around here,
okay, no
Fabi.
logic, no
I'm
logic.
not trying to use any sort of logic. I'm just using my vibes. That's
I
it.
need your vibes, it's
I,
just
I'm I'm
vibes.
I'm going on vibes on this one. that's
Should
that's
we
the
talk
only
about the
thing.
game a bit?
Yes, please, please. Uh, tell me. I just got up, so please tell me
Let's just
what
like
should I be looking
zoom through
for.
the starting moves just so everyone um
Yeah.
gets it up to date. So they played a French.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they returned to the French because the first game was a French.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, Gukesh played the exchange French, and now he returned back to main lines of French. And he played this move A3 on move 7, which is rare.
Mm-hmm.
Which I had this idea at some point, but I thought it was kind of empty if black takes on D4 and plays F6. Like I analyzed it quite a lot at some probably last year or
Take
2 years ago. I don't know.
F6. Yeah, immediately. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Probably he wanted to
Yeah,
do some knight F4. Who knows?
yeah. Knight F4 it's kind of the only testing move, but then black has like million good options there. Okay, so anyway, Ding, who hasn't seemed to prepare this variation at all, despite playing it twice for a World Championship match. In the first game, he didn't really know the details too well. Now he didn't know anything. Bishop
Yeah.
e7, bishop e3, knight b6, um, which is just bad. But
Yeah.
it's really difficult to like. Okay, knight f4 is correct. Knight cd, cd, knight c4. Take. This is the game, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I'm following the game. I'm following your analysis. Knight to e2.
And after dc, like it was very difficult, but queen g4 is is very good for white.
Okay, actually, I have a better idea. Why don't we go straight to what's happening right now, and we
Sure.
do we do the recap after the game.
I won't have time after.
You don't think we will have time after? Yeah,
But we can just skip it. I mean,
because I have a feeling a lot of things are happening, right? And they're like
what's happening? Isn't it the same position?
maybe. I thought
Oh yeah, he played
d5
d5.
was
Okay.
played.
Yeah, d5. Okay, I'm just entering the moves on my laptop.
So you're using a very strong engine on your laptop, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, something that goes at like 280 speed. I mean, nothing super strong, but strong enough.
How's the current position? How's it looking? Give
Zeros,
us your
zeros.
assessment, Fabi. I'm seeing
I
bishop
mean,
e6,
I
yeah?
say,
Maybe bishop e6?
no, like you want to know what the strong engine thinks, or what about I think? Like
No,
a
what you
strong
think.
engine says queen e6 is zeros,
Oh, queen e6. Okay, okay.
and also rook e6 and king h8 and probably also queen f7 are all about zeros.
I mean, to be
This is
honest,
like
rook e6 and king h8 are very unnatural moves from my perspective,
rook
which
e6
doesn't
is
mean
bizarre.
much.
Queen e6 is very low. Queen f7 and queen e6 both are. The issue is queen f7, queen c6 does probably grab a pawn because you can't play rook c7, so you do kind of win the a6 pawn. So that's probably out of the question. Um,
Hmm.
so like rook e6 is the first line, but queen e6.
Queen
I
e6,
mean,
I think, is going to be played, right?
king h8 is not. I mean, bishop e6. The issue is queen c6. I think you kind of see that you have rook d8 threats and also queen a6 threats, and this is actually not very good. So
Okay.
bishop e6, the most natural quote unquote move, just tactically doesn't seem to be very good.
That's what
It's
I
not.
would play probably. Bishop e6. I would see queen c6, even though, yeah, queen c6, rook a7. Okay, what happens after rook a7? Rook a7, rook d8, king f7. How bad is this? This looks pretty bad. Knight e4,
After
yeah.
bishop e6.
Yeah, bishop e6, queen c6, rook a7 to defend the pawn, rook d8, king f7. I'm just trying
I
to
mean,
be...
there's yeah, but you don't want to allow rook d8 just on principle, and then there's knight e4.
Yeah,
So
yeah. He
you
played
can
queen
if you
e6, by the way.
yeah, this I think is very natural. It's also absolute absolutely equal if we're looking at it from a objective point of view. So Gukesh really spoiled his chance by taking on e7. I think he just didn't want the tension. But that was a really big mistake. That was like he was probably winning before that. I mean, objectively winning.
After rook to e8.
Yeah, if he hadn't taken on e7, I think that he's like rook e1, probably objectively winning position and practically like you put the bishop on b4 and then black just gets completely stuck.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So
Um,
you keep the opposite color bishops on the board.
yeah, you really want to keep that bishop. I mean, that position was I played around with it a bit. It was even worse than computers might first suggest.
Okay, okay. So it's pretty
Because
bad.
like basically black plays knight f5, white plays bishop b4, and then black has no ideas, so probably like bishop d7 just to hold things together. And then white can like maneuver the queen around to f4, for example, queen e4, queen f4. d5 at some moment will be crushing. Just because you obstacle bishops, your king gets so weak at some point. Center opens up, bishop goes to c3, knight
This
on
is
d5.
such
It
a
just
nice position for white. I'm looking at it and visually it's so nice. This bishop on b4 never allows you any counterplay with rook f8. Knight d6 is not coming to defend. There's absolutely nothing you can touch basically at this point.
like yeah, here yeah, queen e4 was a kind of computer's line, rook b8, and then d5. But I was also thinking if you don't want to calculate d5, which does get pretty sharp, then just play queen f4, and black is completely devoid of any counterplay. Anyway, so back to the game.
Yes.
Queen e6, queen c5 was played, and there's an only move here for Ding. It's an absolutely only move, but if he finds it, then it's totally fine.
Rook c7.
Rook e8.
I would have played
I,
rook
I think maybe
bc7. No, but this looks... Doesn't this look dangerous to you?
it does. Maybe Queen e6 was not the right way. I don't know why, but like my engine started to change its evaluation also. It was like saying Queen e6 was fine over long with Rook e6, but now it's like Queen e6 is not the best. But I think Queen e6 is just supernatural, so I don't know. Like, okay, let's try to understand. So what did the computer miss? Because it was thinking Rook bc7 was fine, but then Rook d8,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think
King
rook
f7,
bc7 is going to be played. It's like the most natural move.
but it allows Rook d8, King f7, Queen h5,
Uh-huh.
Queen g6 is forced, and now like it looks very dangerous, no? Because there is at some point knight d5. I mean that black is not losing immediately is a surprise. No, he played
Okay.
Rook e8. I don't think that you allow this kind of stuff, and it
Okay.
was also not good. So Rook e8 is correct. Ding is finding the best moves, the only moves,
Give me 1 second.
and
My cat is trying to invade.
so Rook e8. Now we have, I think, an interesting choice. Like, what basically, GUKESH can choose to change the position dramatically with rook e1 and just change the nature of position, or can can choose not to.
Hmm. 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 Would you go for rook e1 or knight e4? Knight e4 looks the second most
I mean,
natural
rook
move
d6
here.
is very natural, but yeah, knight e4, rook d6, or rook e1. It's kind of a fundamental decision.
Ah,
I can't answer that because I would calculate the position and then I would make a decision, which without calculating the position, just looking from the side,
hmm,
it's impossible to. It's not like you could just say. I would be tempted because my kind of feeling is very often that the queen can prove very strong in these positions. But on the other hand, black has a like pretty coordinated rooks,
hmm.
and um, I mean without like many targets, probably it's hard to do anything. The knight is potentially very strong, but yeah, unless you're actually, just trying to attack things one by one isn't probably not going to lead to an advantage. So I don't know. Um, I would be very tempted by rook d6 because you play rook d6 and then you just ask your opponent where do you put your queen? Like, okay, it also does potentially win the a6 pawn. So rook d6, queen e7 is the only way not to lose a pawn. And then there's knight d5. It's actually like surprising that black's okay. Knight d5, queen f7, or queen e5.
Yeah,
It's very shaky.
this looks like immense pressure, at least visually.
But I don't know because the thing is he kind of already made the moves. Like his moves might be forced from now on. So if there's nothing here for white, then it's going to be Gukesh who feels the like what do I do next sort of thing. I mean, he has to prove it. Like you can play rook d6 and say I have pressure, but then your opponent immediately plays queen e7, and then you have to make a next move.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it's not that easy to find like queen d5, king h8, and you can't take on a6 because of rook d7. So um, yeah, what's your next move basically? Like here knight d5, it's very natural, but again, if I play queen f7, what's your next move? I mean, you can take on a6, but there is rook d7. So again, it's tactically things are not working out so easily. So, and also you provoke the knight to d5. It looks active, but it's probably better on c3 where it kind of keeps b2 more defended. There's no pin with rook e5 at some point or
Why
queen,
is
queen.
so rook takes a6 in that line that you just mentioned, rook d7? Why can't I go rook d6? You just go queen f8. Okay,
Yeah, queen
that's
f8, rook
nice.
c6, bishop b7. This is,
That's nice. That's nice.
I think it's probably still okay for white somehow. Maybe you just sack the exchange with queen b5 and it's okay, but I don't know. Yeah, probably queen b5 after bishop b7 and you survive barely.
Yeah, yeah. It looks like it's hanging on by a thread, but I guess Gukesh has to calculate a little bit also, and he might get lost in the puzzle. He might get lost in the maze as well.
But there's
Um,
there's nothing objectively here, so it's not like you can.
right.
I mean, I think what happens is that he spends some time. He probably realizes there's nothing there, and then he'll make this kind of important decision now to go into two rooks versus queen, which is more exciting, or to keep the status quo. But if he keeps the status quo, he'll find soon that there's nothing concrete, and most likely the game turns into equality.
Yeah.
Uh, he he probably overestimated his position. I assume that's why he went for this because when he took on e7, I think he did it because he thought he was much better here. But it ends up being that he's not.
After rook e8, what if I go a simple move? No, actually, the simple move knight e4 doesn't really work. I was thinking about knight e4, but I think even queen b6 maybe. Even though, okay, what do you do after knight e4? Don't use your
Yeah,
import
I'm
engine.
not gonna use an engine. I decided like, okay, we're gonna no cheating.
No more cheating. Let's
No,
let's let's
no
do no
cheating.
cheating commentary like Kramnik.
Okay, after knight e4, the first move that comes to mind is like rook d7. If
Okay.
that works tactically, which I don't see a reason why I wouldn't, then I would be tempted to play rook d7.
Okay, rook d7.
Are you gonna like try to beat me with an engine?
No, 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 no.
Because you probably can.
No, no, no.
When I calculated some lines for you, like knight
I
d6
promise you.
after.
Look, I'm gonna play a simple move. I'm gonna try to keep it.
But wait, let me just show you a line. After rook d7, knight d6,
Yes.
rook e d8,
Uh huh.
rook f e1,
Uh huh.
rook takes d6.
Ooh, that's nice.
Although I although I can oh no, yeah, no,
No, you
their white's
cannot.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, their white's done.
Yeah.
So you can't do that.
Check. Pick up the rook. Two rooks and a
Yeah,
bishop. That's nice.
that's GG. So what were you gonna play after rook d7?
After rook d7, I was thinking of going h3.
Yeah, you can do that.
Why am I playing h3? No, h3 doesn't really make sense. By the way,
Okay,
GUKESH is still
he
thinking.
made he made the decision. He played rook e1. He's changing this forces things. You have to take, although it's not 100% clear you have to take, but tactically you do, because otherwise you get this like massive fork on d6. Just everything gets forked.
He
What?
played
He
queen
played queen
f7.
f7?
Oh my goodness.
Oh
Yeah, this is
God.
bad.
He played it instantly.
Rook takes c8 and knight d4. Well, he felt the pressure of the clock, right? He has 8 minutes. There's no increment, and
He didn't like the position with the two rooks against the queen, but for better or worse, you just had to do it.
yeah, now
What was
this
he
is
going to do
bad
after rook
because
fe1? What was he going to do after rook fe1? Because you can't play queen f7
that's
there.
actually a very good question. Yeah.
Can you play queen f7 there and it doesn't lose immediately? No, but
Knight
there
d4.
definitely loses completely. Well, what was this? This is so bizarre. Like, if you're gonna play it after rook d1, queen f7, and after rook fe1, like
I'll
you could
explain you. I'll explain you why he didn't. Okay, I'll explain you why he didn't play. Why he wanted to play queen f7 so quickly is because with rook on d1, I think he still has rook e7, and this is probably what he was calculating. Rook e7, and if you go knight d6, I guess you have some rook e1 checks with rook on d1.
Oh, with rook fe1, he has rook d7 instead of anything. But like, it leads to the same type of position he didn't want, like rook e6. No, what do you mean? The knight was on c3. Rook fe1, rook d7. You take on
No, no,
e6,
no,
take on
no.
d.
I wanted queen f7, rook takes c8, queen takes c8, knight d4, and now rook e7.
Ah, rook e7.
Yes.
Okay, it's an explanation.
Yes.
Uh,
And after
can
knight
I
d6, he wants to give a check on e1.
king f2 there?
Queen e2.
King g3?
That's
I don't know. Do you have
that's a
like
big
bishop?
question.
Do you have bishop e6 or something? I don't know. Okay, anyway,
That's a
he
maybe.
he played knight e4. Every move is a mistake now.
Wow. Wow. So
So
the
this
best
move knight
path
e4,
forward would have been to take on e8 and knight e4, right?
yeah. Knight e4 is very tempting here, but it either wins completely on the spot or not. Because okay, knight e6 is just forking everything.
Whew,
And rook c7, knight f6 is just immediately resigns. You just win in exchange.
which one?
That's rook c7 here, knight f6. Just
That's
simple win in exchange and black resigns.
that's a nice one. Yeah.
So basically you're left with like rook d8, but then knight d6 and queen d5 check comes. Like knight d6, yeah, and then if I know you don't even need queen. The problem with the rook on d8 is rook c7, knight f7, and the rook on d8 hangs. So you have to play rook f8, knight d6, and now rook c7. That's how you save both rooks. The only possible way. If he doesn't play rook f8, he immediately resigns. I don't understand how he played queen f7 without calculating knight e4.
He should be blitzing out his moves right now.
I mean, he played queen f7 in like 2 seconds, and he just didn't even consider knight e4 as an option. Like you just lose if you don't have rook f8, which he didn't think about. I guess obviously he didn't have it in mind when he played. Like queen f7 is shocking. I mean, just the level of carelessness in the 13th game of the match.
Big
I mean,
moment right now. Big moment. If he doesn't find rook f8, he's busted. Yeah. We agree on
Well,
that.
he's not busted. He just resigns.
What about
He just,
Queen F8? Is Queen F8 a move?
knight d6. I mean, it's a move. It loses after knight d6.
Yeah,
I mean, there's queen d5 on top of the
yeah.
all various like forks that are happening.
There's nothing.
Like,
Okay, he has to go Rook F8.
yeah, he has to go rook f8,
Ding, you have to wake up. Go Rook F8.
but it very mildly.
This is move 31. He has 4 minutes and 45 seconds left. No increment. This is starting to become problematic. Rook F8
I mean, he
defines it.
had.
Okay.
I mean, it was really the only move. There was nothing else. It's knight d6, rook c7. You see that you don't lose immediately, and then you just have to play it because everything else loses a rook. So, what to do?
Okay, how do you keep the pressure as white right now? Because things are somewhat clarifying once I
Okay, the
manage to
only,
defend every
only
single piece.
logical thing is knight d6, rook c7, and then move the queen somewhere, probably
Yes.
to e5. I mean, there
Okay.
is also queen b6, but then queen d7, I don't see the follow-up. Like if not for queen d7, okay, it's game over, but queen d7 does keep the rook defended, so and then rook c6 is a threat, so probably that equalizes for black. So after rook c7, I guess queen d4 or queen e5. Among those two moves, queen e5 is the more logical one.
Yeah. Keep it centralized. Keep it active. Keep queen d5
Although they might be
in
the
the back
same thing,
pocket.
because black will play queen f6 in both cases. And
Can you go queen
wait, so
d5?
queen f6? Sorry?
Queen f6, queen d5, king
Yeah,
h8.
that's what I'm thinking. King h8 and knight e8, there's queen b6,
Oof.
which is very lucky because
Oh my
otherwise you
goodness.
do win the rook on c7. It's just like purely by chance there was this check on b6, and otherwise Ding would lose this game.
I mean, you
Um,
really are hanging on by a thread in this position. Like,
this is what he did with queen f7. I mean, queen f7 was an atrocious decision, like really atrocious decision,
yeah.
which probably will not cost him the game, but it's still too early to say.
Fabi, tell chat a beautiful story. Um, and I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee. I will be back in 1 minute, okay?
You want me to do solo commentary at 6 in the morning?
Tell chat a beautiful story. Just 1 minute, 30 seconds. I'll be back fast. I need to get coffee.
Okay, Christian's getting his coffee. So what's Hikaru stopped his pre-recap. What was he thinking, that the game was going to be a draw, that White was going to win? What are pre-recaps? I mean, is the game not over and then you just decide that you've decided the ending? Has Ding surprised you in this match at all? Um, has he surprised me at all? Well, the entire match has been surprising, but I don't know from which point of view. Like, it's not all bad in terms of play. There have been some bright moments, but there hasn't been a really remarkably good game so far. I mean, the games are either one-sided wins, which in which one side doesn't play too well, or they've been some dull draws, and then there have been like maybe two kind of well-played draws. So it's like the last two games of quality. Okay, they're getting tired, so it's pretty normal. At the end of the match, people get tired and they start to play poorly. It happens to everyone. Happens to the best players and the worst players. And you know, it's just normal human reaction to fatigue and stress.
I'm
But
back.
yeah, I was just talking about the match. Welcome back. At
Ooh,
this point, who do you think will win?
GUKESH didn't make a move. I think he missed Rook F8.
Yeah, he probably thought game over after 94.
He got excited.
I mean, that's actually natural to get excited, but yeah, it was a critical moment. But I can't blame someone for getting excited. Although, on the one hand, it's like kind of a naive thing, but it's also something I do so often, and it's such a like natural thing for me to do that I can't criticize it.
I think
I'm
everybody
like,
does it.
my opponent's an idiot. Game over. Okay, let's go home. And then it turns out that that's not game over. It happens like super often, especially in Blitz when you're like on adrenaline, and then you just think, oh, okay, this wins, and it turns out that either your opponent saw it and you're not as smart as you think, or that they get lucky and there's still resources in the position. I think this is the latter case. That Ding just got lucky
Yeah, yeah,
because Queen F7 was
it
just
very well could be. I mean, he spent 2.5 minutes or something along those lines after 94, which is not something you do if you see 94. 96, rook c7, okay, blitzed out by Ding. 8 moves to go until the time control, 7 minutes 45 against 4 minutes 40. Still not out of the woods for Ding. At least
no, no. I mean,
this is how I feel
it's
with
definitely
our
not out of
position.
the woods, but I mean, he still has to play like Queen F6 here. You can play Queen G6. It's not like there's nothing tactically wrong with Queen G6. It's just not a good square for the queen. And you do want to trade queens, which is natural. Your king is weak. There's a knight on D6.
Queen f6 feels like something that you wouldn't want to do just because you have this 98 in the back of your mind. Like you see this 98 in the back of your mind, he just played it. I mean, Ding is starting to play really, really good chess.
Yeah.
What is
I
a
mean,
pre-recap? What are these people saying? Pre-recap aborted by Hikaru.
that's
What
what
is chat
you
saying?
that's what you say when you've decided on the result of the game and then you want to release a recap. It's just like more just entertainment age of chess, right? Just people doing more and more silly things.
Oh, this is a trend I would assume started by Anish, yes, where he posts his recap before the game is over, and then he challenges everybody to post his recap even faster. Like it's a speed thing. What if I go King H1 after King H8? Get out of this check. Still,
H1.
Rook
So you
D7.
allow Rook D7? But there's Rook
Yeah.
E6. But also B2's hanging. I don't know. At some point, I
Yeah,
might
not
feel
looking
tempted
good.
to take the pawn.
Not looking good.
What's looking good? Rook E5 is played? Okay. Rook E5 is natural. I like Rook E5 because, you want to play Rook E1. So the first question is, okay, Rook D7 uh, is Rook F5. Rook F5 is something. Yeah, probably Rook F5 is something.
Rook F5, Queen F5, right?
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, Rook F5, Queen F5 is. Okay, so wait, Rook D7. We can play Rook D1, I guess. That's probably just the reason. I mean, Rook D7, Rook D1.
Yeah.
Rook
What do you do?
E7 played. Rook E7. This is a natural move.
Okay, he wants to exchange. He wants to exchange the rooks. No, this
It's
is very
probably a fine
natural.
move.
This is
Yeah,
very
Rook
natural.
E7 is very natural.
You want to get that rook off C7. No more 98 ideas.
You also just want to get rid of a pair of rooks so that there's like no back rank problems. Okay, so Gukesh decided not to trade queens with Queen E5, which kind of the chess.com engine was showing Queen E5, but I assume that that like endgames are very drawish.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I mean, there are many pieces left, and there's no more tactical possibilities. So probably Ding just holds this. I don't really see uh like what White can attack anymore. What White can do. You can play H3. You can like make all these kind of neutral moves, which is maybe what he'll do. He'll just play H3 here and then pass the decision on to his opponent for one more move.
What do
But
you do after H3?
they played Queen C5. Okay, now Queen C5. Yeah, you can play it. For example, King H7 is very often. I would just be tempted, like, get rid of some Knight F7 check ideas.
The idea being that knight takes C8, rook takes C8, queen C8, queen
Yeah, I
E5,
mean, you
and
can
in
also
fact you
you can
don't
also
even
move your
have queen
bishop to
takes
D7.
A6. Sorry, what?
You can also move your bishop to D7 if you want. I mean, it's um, White doesn't really have a threat. I mean, if there's no king on H8, White has no threat, so you can play King H7, or yeah, you can move your bishop. And knight E4, there's Queen F4. Okay, you play knight E4, Queen F4 is kind of automatic. I mean, first of all, you don't want to you can't play Queen F7 Rook. Yeah, you just get your queen active, stays in connection with the Rook on F8. So now black has counterplay. I
Rook
mean,
e7.
to be
What do you
honest,
do after rook e7?
I can start taking pawns now. Take two pawns, take a pawn with check.
I go with a king to g3.
G3. Move my bishop to, let's say, f5. Okay, there's some tactical
Rook
danger. I can see.
e5. Rook e5, rook f7, right? Or
No, rook f7, lose rook c8 I have. Rook f7 just picks, you just pick up the piece.
sorry, yes. It's
Rook
6
c8 is,
o'clock in the morning, Fabi. I'm missing pieces occasionally.
no, I'm also missing some things.
Okay, less than
Okay,
5 minutes, but still.
it's still a game.
Actually,
Rook
this is just
e7.
last move.
Maybe rook e7, like if I don't want to take the pawns, I can play bishop f5. No issue, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do that. Why do I want to grab a pawn and then turn into some sort of calculation battle again?
Yeah.
Just play bishop f5.
This is starting to look good for Ding. 2 minutes,
Yes, I
30
wouldn't rule
seconds,
out
only one move. What?
I wouldn't rule out the third result entirely.
You
I
mean a
mean,
win
I
for
would
Ding? Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't rule it out entirely. I would say it's a still very low chance. I mean, but at this point, I don't really see why it's less likely than GUKESH winning. I mean, at this point, a draw is so likely. But
That's that's big. But in
I mean,
what
not big,
scenario
not big.
does in what scenario does Ding have any chances? For example, I go queen d4. I centralize and I defend
No,
the
I mean,
pawn on queen 2.
if you play good moves, if you play like good centralizing safe moves, then of course. But if you're like ambitiously trying to win the game with white,
Mm.
then at some point you like either your king can also get in this and under some attack, or you could lose the b2 pawn. If you're asking about a scenario, it's where you lose a b2 pawn, you sacrifice it, and then you get an initiative with white, but you don't make anything of it, for
Basically
example.
the way we started off with rook e7, right?
Well, you weren't losing there, but yeah, something like that, which goes out of control for white.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
But it's still, I mean, he played rook e7, so he is sacking the pawns. But I don't think Ding will take them. I think he'll just play bishop f5. It's the last move before the time control.
big decision. If he disrupts the connection between the queen and the rook, then there might be some tactics
Yeah,
along the
but
way.
I think he'll just like quickly play bishop f5.
How do you kill the game as white? Because I'm sure GUKESH believes
Killing
he
the game is
has...
easy. Bishop f5, queen e5, for example. Just like
No, I mean
immediately.
after taking your pawn. So I go queen c1, king
Oh,
f2, queen takes b2, king g3, and now bishop f5. How do you kill the game?
but if I
What's your
make a move
safety
like
net?
rook c7, don't you have to play king g8 and then I can just like play queen d5 and back?
So that's your safety net. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean,
That makes
probably
perfect
like white
sense.
is just so active that there's no way that unless white makes some really major error, things shouldn't ever get bad for white.
That makes
Like rook
perfect
e5, rook
sense.
c8, I think would be a very major error because then we trade off the knight on e4 and then I think black is probably just a clean pawn up. That would be pretty bad. But the thing is, if you imagine even the last match, like there was this game, the last game of the match, I mean, there was Jan against Ding and everyone thought Jan is in complete safety the whole game. And then something just bizarre happened in a position which was also zeros. I mean, there is some imbalance, there is potential. It's extremely unlikely, but you
What do
know,
you think he's going to
that's
play after rook e7?
yeah, I don't know. Like bishop f5, queen d4, he does have to play rook g8. It's a bit like with no time, you don't really want to get your rook passive, but yeah, you probably do it anyway.
He played bishop f5.
It's okay. If GUKESH wants to draw, I guess queen e5, but queen d4, he'll probably play rook g8, and then he'll think, how do I exploit black's passivity? Which it turns out there is no way to exploit.
Okay, we made time control. Fabi, I think chat just gave me the most brilliant idea. While GUKESH is thinking about his move, and I'm sure not that much is going to happen for the next at least 15 minutes. Let's do a pre-recap. Let's
I mean,
start from the beginning, huh?
Okay. It's not a pre-recap. We're just discussing the game.
Let's discuss the game. Okay, here we go from move 1. e4, e6.
Okay.
Ding decides to return to his beloved French. Take it away, Fabi.
Okay, I'm not gonna like I don't have the energy to do like a solid recap. So yeah, the French um they had this twice in the match, once in the first game, which was a main line, and then the exchange French, which was not a very good choice from GUKESH. So now they return with this small idea in the opening to play A3. I say small idea because I don't know. I had this idea. I was thinking about playing in Rapid in some like Champions Tour games, and then I decided it's not worth it in Rapid
Hmm.
against against players not as strong as Ding. I decided it's just not worth it because Black can play CD, CD, F6, and probably people also just know it. And of course, Ding did not know it. I mean, it's kind of impressive in a way to play the French consistently without working on it, and like adopting it as your main opening without having worked on it, and then just blindly going into it,
Do you
again and again. But
do you take any creed into what he said? Sometimes I think after round one or the first couple of rounds where he said that he did not prepare for this match. He only started preparation 3 weeks ago. Do you think he's 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 lying about it, or
yeah, I don't think that he did 3 weeks of prep. I mean, if he did 3 weeks of prep, he doesn't have much to show for it.
oh, you think he did even less than that?
Well, I don't know what they were doing at all. I mean, I don't know what they were doing there. Like what is the evidence that any prep was done in this match? I just don't see it. Like, what was the evidence that Ding
That's
looked at
ridiculous.
chess
That I mean,
for this match?
there's no other way to put it. That is just simply ridiculous. Because
No, but like, I mean, that you don't know A3 is. I mean, I'm looking at my file here. A3 is analyzed with like eight of Black's options. I don't play the French especially. I was never gonna play this line with White, but I was just thinking like, at some point I saw there were some games played in this line where, White was some like deep theory, White was sacking the B2 pawns and it was a draw, B2 and A2 pawns. And then I thought, okay, maybe there's some room for creativity. And then I started to like look at various options for White on move seven. And okay, A3 was one of them. It's also, I don't know how many times it was played before, but it was definitely played by like some strong players, including recently. And to not even like know about the existence of the move when you've already played the line in a match, and I mean you've already played the French twice, is I would assume that like everyone who does a recap of this game, Magnus, Hikaru, Anish, especially Anish, even Kramnik, who hasn't been a professional chess player for like 5, 6 years, will know about the existence of the move A3. And like from my like basic knowledge was just okay, Black takes and plays F6, and I couldn't really see how White poses problems. So that's why I never played it because take I actually don't know what Gukesh's idea was. I mean, F6 maybe he wanted knight F4, but it was really like Black has an abundance of good solutions here, and so I didn't really find it like a worthwhile idea.
like what?
Uh,
What do you think his solutions were after knight f4? Like
well, I
take on
mean, this
e5,
would be
take on e5, knight
like
e6,
what
queen f6. Is that it?
I mean,
Sorry, queen f6,
like
just knight
basically
c7.
every move after knight F4 works. I mean, there is like knight takes D4 works. It's just leading to an endgame by force. For example, F takes E5, knight E6, queen B6, as you mentioned. Queen A5 also does work. And then after queen B6, bishop B5, and then I had like three different moves that were all fine for Black, including king E7. If your hope is like my opponent will never find king E7, that can be a hope. I think that could be a valid hope. I think that's what I was at some point considering. But I was more concerned that like in general, if Black plays like move 9 knight takes D4, it just leads to an endgame by force and not a yeah, maybe he analyzed it a bit and he thought it was kind of possible to play. I didn't really think it would be very promising.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But okay, I don't want to get like too deep into analysis of this position, although I'm never going to
Sure,
play this stuff with White. So,
sure. Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. A3,
but okay,
bishop
A3.
e7.
Yeah, bishop B7, bishop B3. This was the point because after bishop B7, knight F3 transposes to main lines. But bishop B3, and the difference is that Like now if black castles, then you get knight f4. Just black is not really in time with f6 anymore. Just it's kind of subtle. Like if you don't know it, it could be tricky.
Mm-hmm. 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 Makes sense.
So after bishop e3, maybe he realized that he got tricked on the move order, and he started to freestyle with knight b6, which knight b6 is not an idea that really appears in this line of the French. I mean, normally you are playing f6. You're trying to open the center. You're break queen b6, f6, these sorts of things. You're trying to break open the center. Knight b6 is very rare. Um, Knight f4, it's correct. CD, CD, knight c4, take, take. Everything is correct. Okay, here,
Sorry.
bless you.
Knight 92. Thank you.
Yeah, like queen g4 was a very, but it's not easy. I mean, queen g4, I did check it a bit and it's very messy. It's a huge mess, but it's very promising for white. But okay, he played knight e2. He didn't miss this moment. Knight e2, b5, castle, castle. I mean, all these moves could be like a little bit criticized, but they
They
also
seem
make
very
sense.
natural to me.
Yeah. Knight c3, rook b8, knight h5, all like very logical moves. f5, take, take. And here, Gukesh played queen f3. It's like computer kind of disagrees with this. But knight f6 is probably also leading to a draw. Like the way that people will see what the engine suggests is like knight f6, queen f6, d5, take everything, queen d5, queen e6. Um,
It looks very similar to what we had in the game, just with the
yeah, it's a
bishops
very,
on the board.
I mean, it's a promising endgame for white, but it's also very drawish. So, you know, I can understand not going for it. Although in the current match situation, we're like rook fd1. I also, you just play like a very safe endgame, and there is a lot of venom um in this endgame. So it's really not that simple. It would have made sense to go for it, especially considering that, he plays with safety, and at this point in the match, you definitely don't want to lose with either side,
I think
right?
that's kind of a good segue into a question I had. Psychologically, how do you see this moment? Obviously, 2 games to go, only one game left. If you make a draw in this one, you're going to have to defend with the black pieces. Not a very good experience in the previous black game. Gukesh lost out of the opening, I would say. Basically, really bad game from Gukesh. And how do you think he sees himself going into the tiebreaks, going into rapid? Do you think he sees that as a failure because a lot of people were expecting him to dominantly win this match? And do you think he believes, Gukesh that is, that Ding will have better chances in the tiebreaks? How do you see
Well, I
that
think
that
the first thing
interplay?
is that like people on the side can easily say someone is going to dominate the match or not. And also people are going to be asked to give their like percentage-based take, before the match, Gukesh has a 70% chance to win, so on and so forth. And by the numbers, you just kind of have to say, yeah, Gukesh is a favorite. But when it actually comes down to the match, and you're there, and the numbers are all a distant memory, and you're playing against someone, it's very hard to imagine that you just like roll someone over in a world championship match unless they're so significantly weaker. It just doesn't happen. I mean, even when Magnus played Jan and won the match pretty comfortably in the end, like pretty handily. Um, and by the final score, it wasn't a close match. Still, until like game six, until after game six happened, it was such a tough match. It was like you know, very bogged down. All the games were very heavy. They were very difficult for Magnus and for Jan, of course. Magnus was in danger in some games, and game six was an enormously difficult game. I mean, it was like 7 hour affair,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, with both sides taking risks at some point, and just like hugely complicated middle game, and then the end game was very difficult to win. Um, so there's never an easy match. I mean, last time we also thought that by game two, Jan beats Sting in like 20 moves with black. We thought, okay, this is going to be another easy match, but it's just never easy somehow. I mean, Magnus played Sergei Karyakin, who he is significantly better than, uh, with no, I'm
And
not
he
saying that.
almost lost.
Yeah, and he was trailing coming into nearly the final moments of the match, right? After game 9, he was trailing
Yeah.
with 3 games to go. And I think he was, wait, 3 games and 2 blacks or something like that. I mean, it was something very, or 3 games and maybe 2 whites, but still, it was a very close affair to him not being able to defend his title. And when he played Vichy in 2014, of course, he did win 1 game before the end, but he had this moment when he was just losing with the white pieces from a safe endgame, where Vichy could have played knight takes e5, knight c4, knight b2, and it was game over. And if you change that game
This
around,
is
it's
the
a very,
famous moment when he saw it. Yeah, when he saw that he's losing on the spot, he kept his poker face, and then Vichy played a quick move, and
and then he
Magnus
won,
was
yeah.
like, "Wow,
But
okay,
like the thing is, Magnus blundered from a very safe, better endgame
yes,
into a losing endgame. And
yes."
you know, the you change that even like going into the final game, which Magnus won in a Berlin endgame. It was like a very tense final game as well. There was nothing easy about this. Like maybe the easiest match was 2013 Magnus against Vichy again, but I'm just going by recent matches because of course there were some blowouts in the past. There was like Kasparov against Nigel Short. That was kind of a blowout. But still, none of these matches are easy. So that people were expecting Ding to just lose without a fight. I mean, I think it's fair to say the numbers like GUKESH is 70% favorite, 60% favorite, Ding is 55% favorite, whatever you want to say, whatever reason you have for these numbers, you should go by recent results, and it's fair to give those numbers, but it's never going to be an easy affair. So,
Cool. Let's go
um,
back to the game. Bishop takes f6 is where I think I'm at.
yeah, Queen f3
Mm-hmm.
is what he played, which allows all sorts of good moves, including knight takes d4, which is an exchange sack, but still, it's a good exchange sack. Anyway, let's kind of breeze through it a bit because he played Queen e8. Didn't take the chance for knight d4, which is a bit surprising. Because, like, okay, he could have sacked the exchange, but you get a pawn and a beautiful knight on d4, and you really should go for it.
So what's the
Queen e8,
exchange? Knight takes f6,
knight
rook takes
f6, rook
f6,
f6.
queen
For example,
d8,
queen d1,
queen d1, e5.
e5, bishop g5,
Got it. Got it. Got it.
bishop f5 or bishop b7. I mean, the exchange sacrifice really does ask to be played.
Yeah. No. Makes perfect sense. You plant the bishop on d3 or on b7 on the long diagonal. The knight on d4 is absolutely marvelous. In fact, I'm starting to like black at this point if he goes for the exchange.
So he played queen e8, take on f6, rook f6, queen e2, queen g6, f3. Like these, from after queen e8, Gukesh plays a string of very nice moves. F3 is a nice move. Rook F8 is a dubious move, but okay. Rook A D1 is a nice move. Knight E7, missing bishop F4, undoubtedly, which is a good move. Rook B7, bishop D6.
Wait, can you explain
Now,
bishop f4? If rook takes f4, queen e5, is that the idea?
yeah, that's it.
That's a nice idea.
Yeah, just bishop gets active basically. Instead of taking 2 moves to get to F2, G3, D6, instead of taking 3 moves to get there, you just take 2 moves, bishop F4, D6. So you gain a tempo with this tactic. Rook B7, bishop D6. Obviously, bishop is good there. It's very active. Rook E8. And we already kind of like spoke about this moment, so I think we're done with the recap.
Sure. Oh, okay. We're done with the recap.
This
Perfect.
is where we like started our live.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Yes. Okay. Cool. Let's go
The
back
rest is
to
history.
the moment. The rest is I like it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Uh,
And also Gukesh played H3, which we did predict. So
where
um
are we? So bishop f5, queen to d4. I think bishop f5 was move 40, queen d4 after somewhat of a think. Rook to
Rook
g8
G8,
and
H3.
h3.
Yeah, I have nothing exciting to say about the game anymore because at some point it's very likely we see a trade on E4 and then it's kind of equal.
Take on e4, rook takes e4, queen c7.
I mean, I don't know. He doesn't have to take. but at some point we might see it.
Do you feel there's any more chances for white? Any more realistic chances
I think this
for
is like a
white?
kind of basically close to 100% drawn game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
just don't really see another outcome. I mean, I know I'm supposed to say something exciting about it, but it's just going to be a draw. I mean, I just don't see like unless someone goes crazy. But I'm trying to imagine because black doesn't really have ideas. Like the queen on f4 can go to c1, can go back to f4. I mean, maybe after queen c1, king
Okay,
h2,
I have
like
an
king
idea.
f4.
I have an idea of how to go crazy, or at least try to keep things somewhat interesting, even though I'm not sure if that's necessarily the word I would use. Bishop takes e4. I take with the f pawn. Queen c1, king h2. You give me a check on f4, and now I block with g3.
Okay, but white will never do this because it's not like you're playing for a win. You're just doing something stupid.
This is crazy, right? Crazy talk.
I mean, you're just trying to get worse. Like with it's not like you're creating winning chances. Like you're still going to be allowing a perpetual check at some point, or black can play for a win.
We have a
Um,
move. Queen to c1.
okay, so Ding is saying, please, king h2, let's go home. It's time. But Gukesh will probably play king f2, and they won't go home just yet. Because king h2, queen f4 is an immediate draw.
I need to ask you about this because we've seen it in quite a few games. This tendency to seek the repetition from Ding, and for Gukesh to avoid the repetition at all costs, even at the cost of being worse. Objectively, how do you frame that? I guess because it's very strange. For a world championship match in general, you want to project confidence. You want to project somewhat dominance, right? Okay, it's a strange word to say, but you do want to project that at least. When you're seeking repetition, even in a better position or in a position in which you could be avoiding it easily, then you're obviously signaling to your opponent that somewhat you're afraid of your opponent. Like how do you
Well, I don't know,
frame
because
this?
Ding is Ding. So doesn't seem to have much ego. I don't think he's too worried about dominance or whatever.
Okay, okay. So you think it's an
But
ego thing? That makes
we got
sense.
Grandmaster Sambel Tersahakyan in chat.
Okay,
So
okay.
greetings, Sambel, and check out his YouTube channel as well. I think he has a nice YouTube channel too.
Greetings. Yes, I played Samvel when I was very young, half of my life ago. Actually, a bit less than half. But yeah, he was a tremendous opponent in my youth years, and I played him when I won the World Youth Championship. In fact, he was one of my main competitors, so I have good memories with Mr. Tersahakian.
So we have
Wait,
a trade on
is it
e4.
Tersahakian? Wait. I might be mistaken. I think there's another Armenian GM. Give me some more Armenian GM names that are over 30.
Uh, I don't know. Melkamian?
No, no, he's much older.
Melkamian is not much older than
He's like
30s. I mean,
38,
but you said 30s.
early 30s, like my age.
Uh, Hashikiana? I don't know how old he is.
Older generation. I cannot
I
believe
mean,
I'm
he's not
missing him.
older. Again, he's in his 30s. I don't know how.
I think Samvel beat me once at the European Championship. You see, I'm confusing. I'm
Well, yeah,
confusing
I don't know exactly
Armenian players.
which game this is. So
Armenian chess players. Okay, I'm gonna ask my AI.
Hovanesyan could be. I lost to
Hovanesyan.
Hovanesyan.
Was it
Okay.
Hovanesyan? I think it was Hovanesyan. Tell me the names of 5 Armenian grandmasters that are about 30 years of age, between the ages of 30 to 33, let's say. Let's see what my AI is saying.
Okay, the game is it's turning
C3
into
played.
completely dead game.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
this
okay.
is 100% a draw.
Tell me the
It's not.
names of Armenian grandmasters, chess grandmasters, that are between the ages of 30 to 35. He's not saying anything. My AI is failing me. Okay, I'm not
Okay,
gonna
but
ask
I
anymore.
like we kind of named some of them, no? I mean, maybe it's Hofannisian. I think he's around my age, or maybe he's a
I
bit
don't
younger.
think it's Hovannisian. I don't think it's Hovannisian. Why am I missing? Why am I missing this? Because I actually had a very important game against this guy. Maybe it was Hovannisian. Hmm.
He's very tall and thin, if that's who you're thinking of. That's like you remember what he looks like, right?
Yes.
So what does he look like?
He's very skinny. He's a very
Yes,
skinny
that's
grandmaster.
Hofannisian. Yeah, that's him. He's tall and thin.
Hmm. Yeah, that might be him. That might be him. Okay, explain to me this move c3, giving up a pawn.
Well, okay, BC, Queen A3 does not give a pawn, so
Okay,
Queen C3 is kind of forced.
that's obvious. Yes.
So
Even
take
though it's
everything
not
rooks.
that obvious, because after bc3, queen a3, rook e6. Oh, wait a minute. Queen
Queen
a2.
A2.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
have to go
yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
but anyway, Queen C3 is kind of a must, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not a must, but okay, it's Queen C3, take Rook C8. So then there's two options. White can either play Rook E3, but then I play Rook C4 and Rook A4, and I get that pawn. Or you can play Rook E6. I play Rook C3, you play Rook A6, I play Rook B3, for example, and I play B4 next, and it's going to be 3 against 2, which is a dead draw. It's not even like you can agree to a draw, basically. I normally I would expect that strong grandmasters, they get 3 against 2, they agree to a draw. I mean, you can also play a few moves if you want with white, but it's essentially a waste of time. Um, so yeah, that's it. You're just liquidating. You don't. He didn't have to do this, but it's kind of quote unquote the professional approach.
That
Just you
makes
don't
sense.
you secure a draw. He played BC. I mean, he just GUKESH does not want. It's actually funny because it's not a winning attempt. You can't win like this. But okay, you can do it.
Oh.
I mean, you don't risk with white also because, white's queen on d4 is so active. But like structurally, you kind of risk because you give black a passed a pawn, but because your pieces are so active, you don't risk. But you also don't attempt to win like this, you like best case, you're still going to be getting 3 against 2, trading queens and then picking up the a6 pawn and you trade the b and c pawns. I mean, sorry. It's yeah, it's not a winning attempt, but it is funny that like at all costs. Um, yeah, we have Luis Supi in chat. He said maybe it's Grigorian,
No,
Karen
no, I think it's
Grigorian.
Hovannisian. We agree
Yeah,
this Hovannisian.
if he's like a tall grandmaster,
Lanky, tall, lanky grandmaster. Yes, that
tall
must be
Armenian
Hovannisian.
grandmaster, then yeah, it's probably that's it.
Even though Tersahakian is fairly tall as well, and also quite lanky. But yes, it's Hovannisian. We've agreed. People are people are telling me to play Manele. You know what Manele is?
Manila?
Manele, yes.
So sounds like some Romanian stuff.
Romanian gypsy music, yes. Have you ever
Uh,
heard Manele, Fabi?
Probably, but
I'm not gonna play Manele. Don't worry. But so how does he want to keep the game
by
going
by the way,
with
your
this
board is
a3?
not update. Oh, it is updating. Sorry, I just how does he want to play after Queen A3? I would guess he wants to play like King G3 or something, and basically at some point he threatens Rook E6. But the thing is, Rook E6, King H7, you still have no way to like create threats. So White does not have um White does not have like a mechanism to create mating attack around Black's king.
Mm.
And Black can also like prevent Rook E6 with like Queen B3, for example.
King G3
Queen
was played as you predicted.
Yeah, King G3 is yeah, it's hinting that you want to play Rook E6, and yeah, if you blunder Rook H6, then that wouldn't be very good. But yeah, Rook E6 can always be met by King H7, and also you can stop Rook E6, so it doesn't change anything. Like he could have played Queen C3, it's a draw. This is also a draw. Um, but he's again showing his intentions, which he's shown throughout the match that like if given an option to avoid an immediate draw, which Queen C3 was, then he will like at all costs do that.
Yeah, yeah, that seems to be the case. Okay, I
But
have
I don't think it like means anything. People read too much into these things. I really don't think it means anything that he's declining draws in games or declining repetitions.
Queen B3, which defends against Rook to E6, makes a lot of sense. Again, what's the mechanism, I guess, for for White? Rook E7. Do you have a threat after Rook E7?
Like Queen B3, Rook E7.
Yes.
Well, you want to play Rook A7, Rook A6 to again threaten Rook H6, but you you don't have an immediate threat. You
Can
can
I go
eventually
Queen
get your Rook
C4?
A after Rook E7.
Yes.
Hey, you can play Queen C4, but
Actually, Queen
um,
C4 seems to be quite bad. Take Rook C7. Yeah,
that
this
end is
could
that
be
one
problematic.
because the Rook goes to A4 and pawn to C4 and White's king gets active. Yeah, I guess not that one. Um,
That's the only way that this position could get problematic. King
yeah, because
F4,
White's
King
king is
F4
so
can be
active.
tough.
Like if you play Rook C7, Rook D8, Rook C4, Rook D3. Like if you could get A5, A4, A3, then you trade these pawns again. But White plays King F4, King E4, and just White's king is able to like participate in a way that Black's king cannot. And
Yeah,
also, if you put like Rook on A8, pawn A5, this is actually not a very valuable setup because Rook A4, C4, and King F4 comes, and the king is just too powerful. Like without the king, of course, if Black's king were on E6, for example, it's a different story. But White's king is getting there much faster.
makes sense. Okay, so
But anyway, Queen C4 is silly, right? You don't have to do that. So
you don't. So Queen B3, Rook E7 has been played. I guess this is what Gukesh was spending most of his time on. Oh, I had another question. Since obviously there's not that much to be talking chess-wise, something that was somewhat mediatized before the match was that Gukesh was getting a mental coach, a performance coach, however you want to call it. Apparently, a guy that worked with a bunch of sports people, a psychologist, mental coach, life coach, whatever. What's your take on that? And how can they help in chess? I kind of like it, just to kind of give you a heads up. But what's your
yeah,
take
I
on
don't
that?
know. It could be helpful to speak to a psychologist, but I also assume that the media will like play up these things a lot because it's what they do. Speaking from experience, like you say one thing just offhand and then they want to make a story out of it. So maybe it was like offhand, I'm talking to a psychologist and then they they want to make it into a bigger thing.
No,
But
no,
it could
I
be,
think it was kind of supported by him as well. Like he said, or the mental coach did say that he's working with Gukesh for the World Championship match.
it could be useful. Um, I mean, I'm sure, like I've worked with sports psychologists in the past. I'm sure most athletes do that, but I think that there are going to be like more useful roles, like probably physical um, role will be most important, preparing for a world championship match, and food will be, but they probably do have a cook.
They must have a cook.
They probably do
Indian
have,
food is very specific, right? You don't generally find it in
but
every
in
restaurant.
Singapore you probably find everything as well.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
It's like if you know, there were matches all over, right? We were playing in London, where you can basically find anything. Um, but people were also playing in in Sochi, where if you want to get a specific type of food, then you probably uh that's when Magnus and Vichy played. They were playing in Sochi in 2014. And then if you want to get a specific type of food, then you probably should bring your own cook because in Russia your options might be more limited unless you're in Moscow, for example.
Yeah. By the way, rook to b7 was played. Now queen c4 I think works.
Rook A7, Queen C4.
No, he played rook
What?
b7.
Oh, Rook B7. But again, like if I want to draw, I can play B4. I mean, it's not a fun way to make a draw, but with queens on the board, still a draw.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably don't want to do that. But it is a draw, and I don't think it's going to be too difficult. But then you will have to play it for a long time. It's not like a rook in game. Um, can you play just A4 after rook B7?
I think his idea is rook b6 and then zigzag with a queen to e5 and then pick up the pawn on b5.
But then C3 is hanging, so how do you like zigzag? I mean,
So rook
after
b6, king h7, queen e4, king h8, queen e5, king h7, rook
oh,
takes
sorry,
b5.
your queen. I thought you were yeah, yeah. Your queen's on E5, not F5. I don't know why I was thinking F5. Rook B5. Okay, yeah, then you're up a pawn. Oh, yeah, maybe just B4. I don't know.
You think he's going to go for b4? Well, it kind of feels like his style. But with the queens on the board, can this ever be dangerous? Like, let's say I
Okay, so
take.
what about Queen C4? I mean, I
Yeah,
said
queen
there's no
c4.
reason for it,
Queen.
but I just realized it's very concrete because if if Rook A7, Rook B8 is an immediate draw, and if Rook C7, then Rook A8, Rook C4, A4, the pawn is getting too far advanced, and we'll be able to trade A and C pawns. So maybe Queen C4 is just like super clean way of drawing. Now that I think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think queen c4 right now probably
I
makes the
mean,
most sense.
B4 is I don't know if I'd say professional. Like you know it's a draw when you play B4, but you also know that you're going to be playing a long time. So if you want to preserve your energy, then maybe something else is more yeah, Queen C4 like calculating that. But you can't really go wrong. But all the moves that we suggested, A4, Queen C4, and B4, they all are probably just completely fine. So you can't really go wrong. You can also play Queen B1, because then after Rook B6, King H7, there's no checks. That's also an option.
Mm. No
So
checks
I don't know.
on the light
Are there
squares.
any like legal moves that don't blunder mate that are bad? Like
Legal moves. What about
is
king
Queen
h7?
H4?
How
Why would
bad is
King
king
H7?
h7? Ah,
Oh,
king
it's fine.
h7, queen d3 maybe, and rook takes b5.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean it's a silly move.
It is a silly
But
move.
what about Queen A4? Is Queen A4 bad?
Queen where?
A4?
Queen a4. I
Should
think
be
it's
fine,
fine.
right?
I think it's
So you know,
fine.
I had this like experiment when the last game, which Ding won, like in the final position, he plays Rook takes G7 and wins. But then I was like trying to find a move that doesn't win for white. A legal, like normally, even in a completely winning position, there's still like a million very bad moves. Just you hang a queen, you hang a rook, just a lot of bad moves. So I started making random queen blunders, and I found that most of my random queen blunders they were winning for white. Like I would put a queen on a square that's hanging, and still it's winning. Or very often it would be zeros. A bit surprising. So I found only two moves that were losing in the final position, where you have to blunder your queen in a very specific way, where also like your opponent's pieces are placed well afterwards. So it was queen b6, and I think queen c5 was also losing. But it was really remarkable how bad the final position is that you could just like randomly hang your queen and you're still doing pretty well.
Mm. Yeah, that's kind of similar to this one, right? In
Well, this
this
one
case, it's just a draw.
it's very drawish, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I, wait,
Okay,
did he play anything? Or no, he's still
he
thinking.
has not played. No, I think he's calculating queen c4 because if queen c4 works and he's not missing anything, and the one thing that he could be missing is that the king comes in time to defend the pawn on c3. Like if white
So
manages
like
to save the
four
pawn on
take.
c3,
Yeah, I think king f4 is kind of the move you might think of.
rook d8.
Because then if you play like rook a8, then like rook, for example, or king e4, a4, rook b2, something like that.
Yes,
I mean, these things could, uh, in some cases, be bad for black.
this is starting to
But
become a little bit annoying. Yes.
after king f4, I would like think that rook d8, for example, is very natural because you provoke the rook to c7, and now you can play a4, rook c4, and rook a8, for example. It's like one way of doing it. There's probably a bunch of other ways,
Yeah, and the king is
but
not in time to defend the pawn
that's one pretty
on
clean way.
c3.
Yeah, then you get 3 against 2 again, which is of course something that Ding does not mind and should not mind.
No, I think he's pretty comfortable with that. Even remember, I think one of the games in which he didn't have to do this, I think against Hikaru from, was it from Norway Chess? Maybe. Um, it was in a
Yeah,
tournament
that
where
was
he
probably, I
was.
think that's what happened in Norway chess. Like he confidently took a slightly better position and maneuvered it into a pawn down rook endgame, which was a dead draw.
Yes, that's
It's
it's
true.
kind of funny to say. You go from a better
But yeah,
position
it's like no,
to
this
a
this game of
technically
course he's
draw. Yeah,
very
Queen
happy
c4
with.
was played.
Yeah, queen c4. It is going to be a draw. Will Gukesh play queen e5 to avoid? I mean queen e5 b4. He'll probably do that.
Queen e5 on the board. On the
He'll
board.
probably play queen. Oh, it's on the board already?
Yeah.
Of course. It's just funny because okay, now you can play b4 as well. I guess it's you still win that pawn, so you don't have to play b4. You can play a4.
Ah, okay. So this is what he wants. Wait. Look, Gukesh has an idea. B4, I go rook b6. You go king h7. Now I take on b4 and queen e4.
Oh, you want a different type of 3 versus 2. Yeah, that's true. It's different. It's I'd rather
With the e
if I were
pawn,
complex.
obviously it's a draw, but it can become a bit unpleasant, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean, people have lost it with the e-pawn. Although
I
actually,
would
have they
not
lost it?
feel super comfortable. Let's just put it this way. I would not feel super comfortable. I mean, obviously, I would
Sure.
know it's a draw, but I would not want to go into this.
No, I mean like yeah, when we're talking as commentators, of course we're a bit relaxed, but still the players are trying to find the cleanest and they're trying to maximize their chances. So Gukesh is trying to find whatever tiny chance he can latch onto, and Ding is trying to find the cleanest path to a draw, which there are many paths to draws. It's like basically every move is a draw. But of course you don't want to make a tiny mistake and then you have to defend a little bit longer, a bit more unpleasant. And it's still a draw and you know it, but still you have to, and then you get low on time and it becomes a bit more of a hassle. So on the other hand, you don't want to spend too much time in this moment because it's going to be harder to play a position with 5 minutes than with 15 minutes. So, okay, what about a4? Because, okay, a4 rook b5 probably, or you can play rook b6 followed by rook b5, but I don't know if it changes anything. And then I play a3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are you
I
like
guess the same thing. Rook a5,
a2?
queen e4. So I do it with rook b6
Oh,
included.
queen e4 allows queen c7.
No. I do it with rook b6, king h7 included.
Oh, so you play now a4, rook b6, king h7, rook b5.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't want to allow. Okay. So I don't want to play a3 because then you do get this endgame that we've decided is sort of in your favor compared to what you have currently.
Yes. Especially this endgame, where my king gets past the g file, where I go to f4. I don't know. Now I'm
Yeah, fair enough. No, I mean you might be getting that.
yeah, I'm not happy. Let's just put it this way. I'm not happy. I will have to defend very accurately to not be in trouble.
I don't think you have to be super accurate, but yeah, it's if you want to avoid it, I do understand that. I would also want to avoid it.
Yes.
So there is this tempting like queen c6, rook b5, a4. The point being that you have no rook b6 stuff anymore, so that's kind of tempting just to stop that in its tracks. And then you also have queen g6 check as an option in some positions.
I like that. I like that. I think Ding will be attracted to this. One question after queen c6. So if I take with a queen on b5, you just simply take on c3. That's easy. And if you take with a rook a4, there's no more rook to b6. He made a move. Let's see. He played queen c6. Nicely spotted. Nicely
Yeah, this looks
spotted.
pretty clean. Because okay, rook b5 will be played. I mean, queen b5 is just a draw.
Yes.
Rook b5 should be played. A4, I assume he'll play rook b5 quickly. And now the issue is that if rook a5, there's also very often rook a8 as well. And in a queen endgame, I would, well, that's when I start to take black. Because actually, like
Yeah.
rook a5, rook a8, I would already be like, okay, I'm taking black at this point in the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because yeah, that a pawn is much faster than white's c pawn. And it's, of course, rook a5, rook a8, it's not better for black. I mean, it's still a draw, but, uh, you know, I'd still prefer to take black. Although there's rook c5 followed by rook c7, so it's. But then yeah, then there's the queen g6 check and a3, then you start to get worried.
Yeah.
The rook
Yeah.
a5 here is not a move. You start to get like vaguely worried if you play rook a5 with white. So then after a4, the question is he doesn't want to trade queens on principle. We already know that. Rook a5 is not working, which leaves what with white with which options exactly?
What
Probably
about
not
rook c5? Rook c5, maybe
queen G.
queen g6, king h2. What do you do?
Yeah, okay, rook c5. Well, maybe that's what he'll do. Rook c5, can I play? Yeah, queen g6 looks logical. I can also play queen b6. I just leave that check in reserve. But then you will play king h2 anyway, so I don't know what I'm achieving. So queen g6, king h2. Okay, what about rook a8 now?
Rook 8, I think I was thinking queen d6, queen d5. Sorry, no, queen e4. No, queen e4, it's not possible.
Queen
Queen
e4
e4,
is
this is
resigned.
how I lose.
Yeah,
Take
so queen
a3,
d5.
and there's no
Okay,
way.
queen d5, but I'm playing queen e8 now. And my pawn is very fast, and I'm starting to get worried for white. Although you still have rook a5, you're still fine. But you're just fine. Now you're trying to hold it. Like you're no longer trying to win with white.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
So I really don't even see. I mean, maybe he should acquiesce. Maybe it's time to agree to the queen trade.
One thing that's different is that now finally they have increment, so the players, if the position is simple enough, they don't have to worry about flagging, which is probably good for Dig. By the way, people are asking, are we doing commentary for tomorrow's round? Final
I don't
round.
know. I don't know. Maybe.
We're
Let's
not
see how I
committing
feel.
to
I'm
any.
playing a blitz tournament tonight.
Are you?
Yeah,
What Blitz tournament?
at SLU.
Hmm.
So
What time?
I like 4 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Is this like a closed event or?
Yeah, it's like some small round robin event.
Oh, okay, okay. Small round robin. Is this like a training tournament?
I don't know. I just got asked to play, and I was like, okay, fine. It's FIDE rated.
Okay,
Try to get some.
okay, okay. Who are you playing against? Do you know who your opponents will be?
Probably like VAR. Um, like last time it was quite strong. There was Nico, but I don't know. I think probably Ilya will play. I don't know exactly who's playing. SLU is St. Louis University. Someone's asking. People just call it SLU, right?
Yes.
I mean, they have a good chess program, right? Mizzou has a good chess program, as you know. You're the coach. SLU has a good chess program. Webster has a good chess program. A bunch of Texas universities.
The way it looks like is basically three big programs in Missouri, three big programs in Texas. So Missouri and Texas are pretty much the powerhouses in collegiate chess
Yeah,
as of right now. And I hope that things change. I do hope that we get more Ivy League colleges deciding, or recognizable universities deciding to build their chess program. I don't think it's going to happen because it's extremely difficult to get funding for these institutions. But I think it would be pretty cool if that's the case. Do you think we have a chance to build an ecosystem in collegiate chess where you get actual programs built at numerous universities rather than just a handful?
probably not.
Why not?
US doesn't care about chess.
What do you mean? US? I think US cares the most about chess compared
The
to,
most?
yeah, I mean, compared to other countries, I would say US. If I would be in the chess world as a player, like obviously I am in the chess world and I think the US is the best place to be, but even as a player, I think US would be the place to be.
I mean, India clearly cares the most.
Fair point. Fair
And
point.
Russia in general has always, like, they've always had,
But I think they're falling through the cracks right now. I
yeah, of
maybe
course. I
they
mean,
care, but their talent base is extremely slim right now.
yeah, because of the war. I mean,
Yeah,
many of their players left. I mean, the amount of grandmasters that left Russia is like a testament to how, I mean, you could have made like 15 teams
yeah.
out of
Russia was silly. Russia was
out of
actually
the players
silly.
who left. I mean, they they left to Spain or to Hungary or to Serbia. Uh, Vidyukov went to England, Austria, we got Alexenko. I mean, all these European countries uh, got like these massively strong players who left Russia after the war. The United States as well, right? I mean, uh, we know Grigory Oparin now plays for the United States, Mihail Antipov.
I would say they were already thinking very
Sure, actually, yeah,
strongly, and
that
probably
to,
they
to
were
be
on
fair,
the path of
that
changing
wasn't because
federations.
yeah, that was prior to 2022, but um yeah, so I shouldn't mix up different things, but yeah, after the war, of course, I mean, many players didn't want to live in Russia anymore and left.
Yeah, no, I think that the main thing for collegiate chess would be how do you monetize it, um, and that's the question, I guess, that universities or people that would consider starting these type of programs would take into consideration. Like, how do you make money out of it? Because collegiate football is huge business. It's incredible. It's incredible business. Not
But isn't that like mostly exploiting college students?
Are you kidding me? Hell no.
Like college football, isn't that mostly
No
that
way.
they
No
exploit
way.
college students?
It used to be. It used to be that way. Now there's something that they call NIL money,
Oh
which
yeah,
is
okay. Yeah, name image licensing.
yeah, which allows the players to monetize their image, and they
But
make
these are like
ridiculous
loopholes again,
amounts of
right?
money.
I mean,
What?
these are also loopholes, right? I don't know too much about college football, but I do know a little bit about this.
Hmm.
I don't think that this would work in chess, first of all, because like you're not going to be able to market chess players in the same way. Like you're
That's
not
the
going to
big
be able
problem.
to
Yes.
you're not
How
going to
do
be
we
able to
change
make
that?
money off marketing them.
But we can change
Uh,
that. I mean, we can definitely change that.
I don't think so. I mean, it's not like you can't make chess as big as football. You can make it like prominent, but not to the point.
Whew,
Okay, GUKESH decided to trade queens, so that's
whew.
or to allow queen c3. But in any case, they're heading towards a draw quickly. Uh, but yeah, I don't think that you can compare chess and football because even if you get chess to a level where people know about it, they're not going to be like the name of a chess player that goes to college uh, is not going to be worth, millions of dollars to university, right?
Not yet. Not
And
yet.
also the thing is like chess players
But also, a
who are
chess
the top
program
chess players
is.
in the world, they don't go to university. I mean,
Mm,
I mean, you get very strong players, but they're players who are,
I
you
agree.
know,
I agree.
top 200 in the world, top 300, and those names are also not going to be like the names that will make money in chess. There's like Magnus, there's Hikaru, there's Gukesh. These are the people that everyone knows about. And even then, it's not like these names are going to be making as much money as a football player, but still, it's like a handful of people. It's not, you play someone who's 25, 50. You're not going to be getting people interested in that, unfortunately. That's just how it is.
The chat is giving us some examples. Way is one of them. MVL, in fact, and we talked to him about this in Toronto when we had the pod with him.
I mean, yeah, Maxim got a degree in
He got a
mathematics.
degree, and that's the thing. Like,
Like
why
also
can't players
these,
just come, even if they're extremely strong and on a path of becoming top level players? Why wouldn't they consider a university? Does it take away from your potential if you go to
it takes your
university?
time.
It does take some
And
time.
and
Yes,
chess
that's true.
chess is like very intensive. People, I mean, the thing is when you go to university and then I don't know if it takes away from sports as much because it gives you a place to train sports. While it doesn't really give you a place to train chess, it's mostly just distracting from chess. And also, a lot of these people, like chess players who have degrees, they don't have like real degrees. I mean, like
Not my
Ding.
players.
No, no, I don't
I
mean that.
mean,
I mean, I'm talking about the top chess
you
players.
mean
They're
the
giving some examples.
ways? Yeah, yeah.
Like
Ding.
all the chess players who have a degree during like Soviet times, those those were not real at all. It's like they went to a sports university and they got a degree in like, in sports or something, and it's always the same degree, right?
Yeah,
But of course, there were many chess players. John Nunn obviously is a great academic. I mean, there were a lot of chess players who went into academics, but a lot of the degrees of like top chess players, those were just like they went to university and they got like the sports degree.
yeah, yeah. It's an interesting question. It's an interesting discussion. I'm definitely obviously biased because I run a chess program. I would like collegiate chess to develop into something that's easily monetizable. Um, that's that's a goal, I guess. Make the players more popular, make the sport more popular, make collegiate chess more popular. That's one of my goals, I guess. Hui Fan, that's a good example, and we're seeing this from the Chinese players. That's true, and I would say that's probably cultural. The fact that they're sometimes just following that path like way Dingley ran. Does he
But
have a
Ding,
law degree?
believe that Ding
He
like
has a law
got.
degree, right?
I don't think so. I mean,
Really?
like I don't believe that.
You
I mean,
don't believe it,
I don't
or
believe that he's not a lawyer. There's no way that Ding is a
I mean,
lawyer.
he's not a lawyer, but I think he has a law degree. Like he's obviously not using it, but
I don't think that Ding can be a lawyer. Like that's what I'm not that I don't think that he has the qualifications to be a lawyer. That's what I'm saying. Like as far as I know, he's always played chess, and I don't know when he took the time to like become a lawyer.
mm,
I just don't know how it works in China also. But I would be like very surprised if Ding has an actual like he can actually be a lawyer.
yeah.
Or if he studied like law seriously for many years, I would also be very surprised. Okay, anyway, the game the game is going to 3 versus 2.
How long do you think Gukesh is going to try this?
I don't know. I mean, it's a waste of time, but you can try it. But yeah, it's no like in back in the day. I think people, professional chess players. I don't know if you would call it professional chess players, but the great chess players of the past, they they were working in other fields because chess didn't really give money,
Exactly.
and so a lot of these chess players of the past they were very skilled in other areas.
But I would argue that that's still the case, especially comparable to, other fields. Like you're not going to be
But
able
like top
to
chess players can make money now.
top chess players, yes, yes,
Yeah.
top, but top what? Top 30, top 20? Like how many would you say
From
make
like just making money
good
from
money?
tournaments?
Let's say
Okay,
comparable money
depends on
to
good. What do you mean good money? Like which country are
I'll
you
give you
living
a
in?
benchmark. Comparable money to a lawyer, let's just say.
A
Not a
lawyer
doctor.
where?
Not a doctor in the US that makes 400K or whatever.
Like I was talking
Let's say a 200K
to
per
Amin.
year lawyer
Yeah,
or an
but okay, you're
investment
talking about like
banker.
very US specific, right? Like I was talking to Amin Bassem,
Yes.
who is a doctor,
Yes.
and he was basically saying how like in Egypt, doctors just don't get appreciated, don't get paid properly.
Mm-hmm,
Uh,
mm-hmm.
and so yeah, like there can be very respectable jobs that don't really get paid very well depending on the country. So yeah, in the United States, okay, lawyer, doctor, they make a lot of money, right? So a lawyer in the United States, you want to ask how, so you just give me an amount. I mean, how
200K
much?
in the US.
200. Yeah, I would
200K
assume.
in the US, let's say 100K in Europe, which is a lot.
Okay, well, thing is like if you cheat online, I mean, you can easily make this, and some people do it. I mean, 100K definitely. Like some people probably can earn that by some online cheating here and there. But okay, like from legit tournaments, 200. Okay, let's go down the list. I would say, well, there's Rapid and Blitz, so I don't know. It's like let's say you have, Maxime who's top 20, but he has like this wide range of skills, so he's able to like make money not just in classical tournaments, but in Rapid and Blitz and so on and so forth. So it gets a bit blurry in that sense. Um,
We're finding out that
so
lawyers
like
don't
let's
make
say
that much
top
money,
30.
it seems like.
What's that?
We're Chat is telling us that lawyers don't make that much money.
But I would say like top 30 because if you're looking at like what Maxime can make in a year, I mean definitely he could make 300 in prizes
But
if he has
okay,
a good
okay,
year.
Maxim is okay, but
But
Maxim is
he's
a
top
very
20 in the
special.
world, right?
He used to be top 10 for a decade, yeah.
Yeah,
So
of course. Maxime is like
he
he's
has a
top
very
20, but
recognizable name.
he has the quality which is higher than top 20, right?
Yes,
You would
yes,
call him underrated perhaps.
I would.
Um,
Yes,
while like for example, like Kwang Liam, who's number 16, doesn't really play chess at all.
that is a excellent case. Yes,
And
excellent
Hans, who's
case.
number 18, he was able to like raise a lot of money through sponsors because he has this very recognizable image. But Vincent Keimer, who is more or less the same age and the same rating, basically the same both, uh, was not really to able to. I mean, he doesn't have the same recognizable image, right? That Hans has. So there's some special cases. I mean, we also have Anand, who's number 10 in the world, who doesn't play at all, who's basically an inactive player. But if we're talking about, yeah, again, it's like these rankings, I don't know what they mean. I mean, like Gukesh is number 5, but he's playing a world championship match, so he gets a huge amount from that. Uh, which, for example, Arjun will not be making anywhere near that amount of money this year compared to Gukesh. So it's all kind of mixed up. Like I would assume this year, for example, that that Ali Reza made a huge amount of money through the Grand Chess Tour and through these online rapid events that he did well in. And he probably made much more money than, for example, Jan, than Wesley, and so on. So it's very specific. It's not just about a classical rating. But yeah, if we want like a general thing, just like yeah, you could say top 30 will be able to like depending on the player, there will be a lot of players there who will be able to make 200,000 plus a year if they don't completely crash out in the year.
And I would say that this is kind of a novel phenomenon. Like wasn't the case maybe even 10 years ago, um, for the top 20. Like I would say 10 years ago, maybe only top 10 were able to pull that type of money out of tournaments.
Yeah, I mean it's also now it's a lot of rapid and blitz, so it kind of changes things a bit. Like if we're going back 10 years, then all the money was in classical chess, no rapid and blitz, and then it was a bit kind of easier to gauge like who's making what, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All I
But
want is for players to get paid. Chess is a difficult sport. I want people to get paid for it.
but yeah, like someone asked, there's not 100 people. I would assume that there are not 100 people in the world who will make a good living off of just tournament prizes. If we're just going by tournament prizes, because top 100 we're going into like the kind of 26, 30 ranges, and those players will get very few invitations. Will have to rely on open tournaments, and open tournaments have very little money, and you do have to perform very well to get that money.
Yeah,
Um, so unless you're like a very young player, you're probably not. Once you get into like the high 2600 category, you're still not, I think, making good money. But you can start to like break into some of the top events but the aim is not to be high 2600s, it's to be mid to high 2700s. That's when you usually start to get invitations to things like Grand Chess Tour or to other such events like Tata Steel, the freestyle events and this and that random tournaments that have good prizes.
yeah, yeah. Um, cool, cool. I think we missed a super chat. Thank you very much, Aman, for the 100. I believe these are Indian rupees, but I'm not 100% sure. I will go with Indian rupees. Thanks for that. And here he is asking a question: what are the chances of Gukesh winning in rapid? And to
I
drill
mean,
down
I
on
think
that, yeah, go
it's
ahead,
like
go ahead.
just a straight toss up. I
At
mean,
this
I
point,
wouldn't.
you think it's a straight toss up?
Yeah, at this point, it's not really about like
What
who's
about including the next game, in which Ding has the white pieces? How would you see the chances?
the next game really should be a draw. Or like just feels like a draw.
You think it's going to be a draw, yeah? Mm-hmm.
That feels just like a draw.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would really say we have a high likelihood of getting tiebreaks at this point. And in tiebreaks, I wouldn't say Gukesh is like an underdog. I mean, you know, people say that he's like a massive underdog because of some results. Ding hasn't really played much rapid chess in the last few years. I mean, you could count the amount of tournaments he's played on one hand. Like he played the World Rapid and Blitz Team Championship, uh, where I think he did okay. I can see exactly, like he probably lost some rating, but probably like 10
No, he
points.
did
I
okay.
would say.
No, he did fairly well. I think he did 8.5 out of 13. I want to say.
I mean, he probably lost some rating,
Sure, but I thought
but
he was doing fairly well. I mean, I remember he even beat maybe Hans. Yeah, I think he beat Hans. I perhaps he lost one game or something like that, but he had a good
well,
showing.
just because you beat Hans doesn't mean you had a great tournament. Okay,
Well,
so
he beat Hans alongside others, but
he
I
gained
think
1.2 rating points.
yeah,
He had a pretty good tournament. Yeah.
decent tournament.
No, 1
Yeah.
point. I mean, he gained some rating. Um, he drew Duba, Richie, Arjun, Nihal. He lost to Magnus. He drew Shakriar. He beat Sindarov. He beat Hans. Like he didn't beat anyone super high. I mean, like, but okay. I mean, it was a pretty decent tournament. Then he lost 42 points in the Grand K Classic, which I do remember he had a like, pretty atrocious Grand K Classic. So, and then he lost 12 points. But in the last year, he's had four rating changes. One was the World Rapid and Blitz Team Championship, 1 point plus 1.2, minus 42.6, minus 12.4 in February, the first China Chess King competition. He lost a match to Wei Yi and to Wang Hao. And then he played the World Championship tiebreak against Yan last year. Before that, he had like Chinese League Rapid team where he lost 7 points. I mean, there's very few results in the last few years, so we don't have much to go by except that he's lost rating. I mean, I don't really see much to suggest that he's like super, like so much stronger than Gukesh and Rapid. I don't know.
No. Yeah,
I mean, I know
I don't
Gukesh
think
hasn't
anybody
had
believes
best
that,
results, but
right?
do you mean a lot of people believe that? I mean, just look at our chat right now.
Okay, 1 second, Fabi. I need to. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
It's actually funny that I just list random, I just list numbers
1 second.
and people say I'm not being objective. I mean, I'm just saying the numbers that happened. These are just results that happened. I'm just reporting on the numbers. It can't be unobjective to report on numbers. But again, I mean, Gukesh is in rapid, let's see his rating. He's 2654, which isn't very high rated. But when I played him in rapid, it seemed fine. Like he does some strange things when he gets down to seconds very often. Um, in Blitz, I don't know if I would trust Gukesh so much, but in Rapid, I don't know. I don't really see a big difference between them. Like when it gets to Blitz, okay. Yeah, I'm like 50-50 in tie breaks. It seems fair. Also, they're probably both very tired. They're probably very tired, and it'll come down to some nerves and stuff. If it gets to Rapid, they still have one more game to play. But yeah, Zing has won the tie break against Jan, and that's some real experience that he has, and he did do very well there. He played very well. Like if I was forced to bet on someone at 1-1, I would probably pick Ding. So I would, even though I would say it's like 50-50, I would probably put a bit more confidence in Ding.
You take
But
Ding. Wow.
like if forced to, I wouldn't really feel comfortable taking anyone. But if forced to, then I would rather
I'm
put
gonna
my
go
money
on a
on.
limb and say Gukesh is going to. If it goes to Rapid, Gukesh is a big favorite.
I wouldn't say big favorite. I mean, I would disagree with that. But if you want to, the thing is also like after 14 games, they're both very tired. I don't know. It's going to come down to some nerves in final moments.
Why I think Gukesh is a favorite, and obviously this is a contentious, let's say, topic, but why I do think he has the better chances is because of his openings. I Ding has not shown anything. Neither did Gukesh. He hasn't shown as much, but even today, he got out of the opening with a slight advantage, pressure, and definitely pressure on the clock, which I think is going to be playing into his favor. Like going into the rapid tie breaks in the match between Nepo and Ding, it was a completely different story because the opening phase was very, very balanced. I don't feel that's the case in this one. But okay, I mean, you could argue very differently,
Yeah.
easily.
But again, you can get away with more in rapid. I mean, he's getting away with it in classical. So I don't see why you can't get away with more in rapid. Like normally that's where if you get a bad position,
Because
you
you
have
have
more
more
chance of
time
getting
to.
out of it.
I would wait. He just played. Okay, H5 is fine. Because he has more time to think, to get out of not knowing the opening. Wouldn't you agree with that? Or
No, but he let's say he gets a bad position, he can kind of find his way out of it in rapid. While in classical it's more difficult, and he's still been managing in classical to get out of bad positions, which he's had many of. So I mean, here's the thing, people, it's like very easy to say that because of this, what happened in this classical game, then different will happen in rapid because it's faster. But people just play differently. Just because you play slowly in classical doesn't mean you'll play slowly in rapid. Just because you get under pressure in opening in classical doesn't mean you'll get under the pressure in opening in rapid. Um, so like I'm just like reading the comments and
oh, they're
it's
making a draw.
yeah, that's for sure.
They just made a draw. Okay, all right, and that concludes our analysis of game 13. Quite an interesting one. Obviously, Gukesh had a great position, maybe objectively close to winning. I don't know what the strong engine was saying, but you were mentioning
No,
at some point that he was
it was
very
definitely close.
close to winning. Once again, another big escape. Good defense by Ding, or at least opportunistic defense by Ding. He found the best moves when it mattered. How would you describe today's game?
Yeah, I think it was pretty close to being bad. If he hadn't taken on E7, that was definitely one moment. Knight E4 was also a moment, but I think if he hadn't taken on E7, then it could have really gotten bad for Ding. So this was a close one. It's going to feel like a missed opportunity. I mean, Ding definitely got off the hook here. It was a very good result for him. And yeah, the last game, I don't know. I would still estimate the last game to be a very high chance of draw and then tie breaks. Again, a lot of tie breaks. And we'll see what happens there. We already gave our thoughts about that, right? Like you think Gukesh is a strong favorite. I'm less sure. No, wait, you said Gukesh. Did you say a strong favorite or just a favorite?
I said that he's going to win handily. Yes.
Okay. I think that's
However
a
you
pretty
want
bold.
to interpret that.
Yeah, I think that's a bold prediction.
It is a bold
But
prediction. Yes, I like to be
most people are saying
contrarian.
Ding. Yeah, it's no, it could be actually. Could definitely happen. I would really think it's going to be a close one.
Somebody in the chat at some point was saying that Hikaru and Magnus predicted Ding to be a 70-30 favorite if they go tie breaks. I just don't see how that's the case. But again, everybody
Yeah, I
has
don't
their
think
opinions.
I think that's too strong. That's too strong. I mean, I would say okay, like if you want to do that, then you can always ask someone if they're willing to put money at that rate. And very often they're not willing to. And that's when you find out if they really think in that percentage is accurate.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Fabi. Great chat, good coverage, interesting game, and a good discussion. We will be having a podcast episode dropping up in about 22 minutes from now. So if you're here for the first time, don't forget, like, subscribe the stream, and be on the lookout for another episode dropping up in just a couple of minutes. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. And yeah, tell your friends where you're hanging out. And maybe we'll be back tomorrow. I don't know. we are not making any commitments, but maybe we will be back tomorrow to cover up the last classical game of this match. Until then, see you guys in the next